Hello, welcome back to the channel. November and December have been crazy months, obviously leading up to Christmas. Coaching and playing has taken over, and I'm going to let you know exactly how I've got on in this last couple of months. Now, Christ, we're going to start with the follow-up from the video that I put on last month, which was actually my preparations for the Devon County Championships. So I'm pleased to say that we've had some huge success in the month of November, which was really, really good for me personally. The Devon Champs was a real kind of confidence booster for me, just from performance level more than anything. So my first round match was on the Friday night, and played a guy on, I think about 5.5K squash levels. Obviously at the time I was lower than that. I think I was on about 4.8, something like that. So I was expected on paper to lose. However, went into the tournament fairly positive about my preparations, about how good I was physically, how well I've been playing up to that point, and tried to go in with as much of a positive mindset as I possibly could. Now, it wasn't really the best of starts. I went into the first match, I'd finished coaching, drove over to Exeter Golf and Country Club where it was being held, and went on court with James and went 2-love down in about 20-25 minutes. Mentally very frustrated at that point. So yeah, 2-love down in a very short space of time, very frustrated. Actually then settled down a little bit and just tried to play my own game a little bit. It wasn't the best performance in those first two games. Came back and actually won 3-2. So really, really pleased that I could fight back from that. And that really set the trend for me then throughout the whole kind of weekend of the tournament. Knew I could get through some kind of tough games. So just needed to go and play the way I wanted to play really, rather than trying to kind of go toe to toe with some of these younger guys. The second round, again, was against a guy who was on fairly similar kind of squash levels to me. And again, a really, really strong performance from me. A player that I would expect to beat, however, is one of those that if I do take my foot off the gas against those kind of players, it could be really tricky for me. So ended up going and winning that 3-love fairly comfortably and controlled the game really well. Really mentally disciplined throughout the whole game. Normally I'm one that likes to kind of be a nicer guy on court and doesn't necessarily fully mentally engage, which has been a real thing that I've tried to improve on in the last kind of few months or so. And that was really the first example of me actually switching on, staying focused. It's against a guy I know very well, but once I was on court, it didn't matter. It was just another opponent who I needed to beat. And that was effectively my semi-final. And then my final, which again was against a guy who actually 2 years ago I lost to in 5. So I knew I was in for a bit of a tough game and came away with a 3-love win again. So really, really happy with the weekend. So I won my category in the Devon Champs, which was the B grade. So yeah, Devon champion for the B grade, if you can call it that. But a really positive weekend. And it done my squash levels the world of good. So I was then currently sat on about 5.3-ish. So yeah, a really positive weekend. So the first success of November was awesome to be winning that tournament. Wasn't necessarily expected to win that tournament based on the squash levels. I think I was sat as technically an unseeded player due to my squash levels. So to get through that, and then we follow on to the end of the month, which was my squash club championship, so an inter-club event, one which I was almost successful in last year. Ended up losing 3-2 in a final last year. So one that I really wanted to win this time round. And I'm pleased to say, after a tricky quarter-final, which I had to win in 5, came through and won it. So I've had some really good success in the month of November, followed by some really good matches in the local Devon League as well, which I'll talk to you about in a second. So as you were hopefully all aware, my target was to get to 6,000 squash levels by the end of the season. So we're now technically halfway through our squash season. And as you can see right now, I'm currently sat at 5,500. So I am well and truly on track to get into that 6K by the end of the season. That's been really nicely boosted by a match that I had with someone from Newton Abbot. When we played them in the Devon League, he sits at around 9.5, nearly 10K. and actually had a good chance against him, to be fair. I went 2-1 up and sadly ran out of legs and lost 3-2. So you can imagine what that done to my squash levels straight away. Bit disappointed not to get the win. Really tried to go for the win, just had nothing left physically. But it's good because it's given me something and a clear idea of what I need to work on through the Christmas break leading into the new year. It's become very, very apparent that the game has got massively better. I'm a lot more constructive. I'm thinking a bit more about how I want to play to suit my abilities and my style of play rather than just trying to go fast all the time. It's now very apparent that the physical side of the game, the fitness levels need to go up with that. Against the better players, I find myself getting starting to lose my legs a little bit towards kind of a fourth, maybe even if we get to a fifth game. But the fourth game especially, by the time I get there, if I'm still in the game, I'm starting to feel it. And that's something that I'm going to be really working on through the Christmas break now. I'm already starting working on it by doing a bit more training off court, with some harder sessions with my coach, as well as more game time as well. So all in all, up to December, it's been a really, really good 2023-24 season so far. And we haven't finished yet, like I say, we're only halfway through, and I've got some really good matches, hopefully, following Christmas and New Year that will really help me get to that 6K target. I've actually got a big tournament I've actually recently just entered into in the middle of January, one that I was thinking about entering just for a bit of experience at that level, but then decided against it. However, I have been talked into playing it. So I have now just entered into the English closed in the middle of January. So I've got a good few weeks now to try and get some fitness work in. I appreciate I'm not going to be at maximum kind of level as in that short space of time, but a real good time space now to really get myself ready for quite a large event for me. It's one of the bigger events, if not the biggest event I've played in as a senior. So a really good experience for me to get involved with that level of squash, which is what I wanted to try and do in 2024. So there's just a little update on kind of how 2023 has finished for me. You can see the squash levels are well on track. The game is much, much better than it was this time last year. Mentally, I'm better. So yeah, a real positive end to the year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in January onwards. I will be playing a few more kind of higher profile events in January. That is one thing I have said, although I'm not expecting to do anything in them result-wise, I want to be in and amongst those kind of matches a hell of a lot more. So I'm going to be pushing myself massively in 2024. So keep your eyes peeled because there's a lot of big events coming up. And finally, what else is happening in January is, from a coaching point of view, I'm off to the British Junior Open with one of my juniors. We've been prepping this week, especially before Christmas, and probably we'll try and get one in between Christmas and New Year as well, to get her ready for the British Junior Open. So I'll be going to Birmingham for a couple of days with her, really trying to help her through her tournament, which is something as a coach I have not yet done, but something I wanted to do is go with some of these juniors to the bigger tournaments to help them through. It's obviously very apparent that the better juniors in the world or the country often have their coaches with them on these big events. So that is exactly what I'm going to try and offer to a lot of my juniors, and even adults if they want to go and play some tournaments. So yeah, exciting times ahead in January and further on. And obviously you guys will be updated massively. So that's it for this short kind of video. It's only an update video, this one. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We're at about 330 now, so we're getting very, very close to that 500 mark where I'll be doing my giveaway. So keep going, keep sharing, keep commenting. It's great to see some of you commenting on these videos now. The view count is looking really, really good. I love interacting with you guys about squash. It's just really, really good to get the squash community together. I hope you've enjoyed the videos up to this point. A happy new year, and I will see you in 2024.